Before this tutorial gets started, I just want to tell you that this is part of the IOD 2024 summer release. And if you want to watch other videos by other creators using the summer 2024 IOD new release, just click on the link in the description box below and there will be a playlist with all of the videos for products in this release. So happy creating! Let's go! So I totally have a thing for little cabinets, and I think it started when I lived in Copenhagen and I found a lot of them. This one I found at a Goodwill in central Indiana, and I think I paid about $20 for it. After making a bunch of repairs to it and giving it a good cleaning, now it's time to paint it. I decided to start with a base coat of Cowgirl Coral by Debi's Design Diary DIY paint, to which I added some Saltwash. I don't really measure, I just kind of eyeball until I get the consistency that I want, and then I applied that with a cheap chip brush using a stippling or pouncing motion. And as you can see, it does a great job of covering up all of those little repairs and nicks, stings, divots that I filled in. Does a good job of covering all that up. It's been a hot minute since I have done a raised stencil, so I decided, why not? I did add a little bit more salt wash to that mixture so that the consistency was just a little bit thicker. You want to have a good thick consistency with that salt wash paint mixture if you're going to use it for raised stenciling, which I have done lots of times in the past. So my project got to hang out and dry without me, not because I needed to let it dry for a couple days, but because I had a wonderful girls' weekend in Santa Fe, New Mexico with some dear friends whom I have known for 35 years. So fun party time with the girls was over, and it's time to get back to work. Don't ask me why I decided to paint with sea sponges. Every once in a while, I just get a wild hair to try something that I haven't done in a while or something different, or I don't know, I just didn't feel like using brushes, so I used sea sponges instead. I do want to point out the consistency of that DIY paint. That is the color Blue Iris, and it was a little thick, as you could see, because I don't do a very good job of closing up my jars. So by adding a little bit of water, it is salvageable. That is also what DIY paint looks like when it is dried out and back to its clay form. I actually used these almost like crayon on some parts of this project on the front. Unfortunately, I did not get that part on video because I was frustrated with the way things were going. Just to give you a little background on how I work, I don't do sample boards beforehand. I don't do a piece in a finish and then turn the camera on. I basically turn the camera on and experiment. So when you watch any of my videos, it is a lot of just me playing around and trying to figure out the process as I go along and as I'm recording. So I don't have any of this figured out beforehand. So I suffered through the front. I got a little bit better on the other side. By the time I got to the third side of the project, I was like, we're off to the races and I know what I need to do. So basically what I'm doing is just using the sponge to put those colors on, and then to blend them, I am using that dirty water, that painty water that I was putting the sponges in to kind of clean them and moisten them. And I'm just dipping my brush in that and using that to blend out the colors. You can pick apart your piece while your paint is a little bit damp, or you can wait until it's dry. If you want like that true chippy kind of look, I would wait till everything's dry and then just go ahead and take your putty knife and start picking at it. You could spend days doing this. If picking at things is your thing, then this is a good technique for you. In addition to picking off the little bits and pieces, I also did a little wet distress on that raised stencil just to kind of bring that through a little bit. So IOD recommends that you seal your project before applying a transfer. I have done it both ways. Sometimes I have sealed it, sometimes I don't, but the key is just to make sure that everything is really dry, because if you have any moisture in your paint or that top coat, it's going to make applying the transfer a lot more difficult, and you're also sacrificing, I think, some of the durability and longevity of that transfer. So this is super exciting because not only is it new transfers, but they are new gilded transfers, which we have not seen from IOD before. I love Queen of the Nile. I think everybody loves Queen of the Nile, and to see it in gold is just amazing. I always do a dry fit first when I'm using a transfer, so I know where it's going to lay, where I can put it down. And in this case, I just needed to cut it because the whole thing did not fit on the door. However, by cutting off just that Queen of the Nile part from the top, I could put that on the drawer, put the rest on the door, and it fits perfect. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm kind of stoked with this. This is kind of something new and different, and I love that hint of shimmer and that metallic, and it's great. And these transfers work pretty much the same as the regular IOD transfers do. After I just dry fit that one more time to make sure that it's going where I need it to go, I just remove the backing like I do with any other transfer, lay it down, and go to town with the rubbing stick. I will say it's a little bit more challenging with the gilded transfer. I shouldn't use the word challenging. You might have to pick it up a little bit just to make sure that you're getting the transfer, because on the other transfers, when you have that clear sheet on top, it's a little bit easier to see when it's sticking and when it's not. I'm also doing this transfer over a textured finish, which makes applying any transfer a little bit more difficult, but it worked out great. Oh, how I love a good dry brush. It just adds so much to a piece. I did most of the top, and then I also did along the bottom of the piece, I added some dry brush. That is Bohemian blue that I am using for the dry brush. So normally I'm a wax girl. However, I wasn't sure how wax was going to do over the gilded transfer, so I opted to use that Minwax polyacrylic, which, by the way, I really like it. It's like a ultra matte, crystal clear finish, and I did it over the whole thing, and I really liked it. After struggling just a little bit with that gilding wax and trying to get it where I need it, I decided to work smarter and not harder, and I had a brilliant idea of just putting that stencil back down so that I wouldn't get the gilding wax everywhere where I didn't want it. And there she is, the Queen of the Nile in all her glory. I have a feeling that these gilded transfers are going to be a smash hit. Don't forget to click on the link in the description box below. That will take you to the playlist for all of the Orchid Designs Summer 2024 release videos. I thank you so very much for being here, and I can't wait to get started on my next project. See you then. Bye.